Imagine walking through the crumbling walls of an abandoned asylum, the air thick with the scent of decay, the floor creaks under your feet, and every step feels like you're treading on forgotten history. You can almost hear the echoes of voices long silenced, the whispers of those who were left behind in places designed to heal, but instead became prisons of suffering. These abandoned asylums and hospitals were once meant to care for the vulnerable, but over time they became known for their dark secrets and unspeakable horrors. Did you know that some of the most notorious asylums in history became infamous not just for the treatments they used, but for the way they became haunted by the very souls they failed to save? One such example is Waverly Hills Sanatorium, where an underground tunnel, known as the body chute, was used to secretly transport the deceased victims of tuberculosis. Now, picture yourself there, standing in the same hallways, feeling the weight of the past. How would you feel walking through those forsaken corridors, knowing the secrets they hold? What do you really know about the truth behind these chilling events? Are they just stories? Or is there something more waiting to be uncovered? Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Louisville, Kentucky, USA. Waverly Hills Sanatorium is no ordinary hospital. It's a place drenched in mystery, tragedy, and ghostly tales that have been passed down through generations. Built in 1910 to house tuberculosis patients, this sprawling facility became infamous for the thousands of lives lost to the disease. The sheer scale of the hospital was meant to fight the epidemic, but as the number of deaths rose, so did the chilling rumors. One of the most talked about features of Waverly Hills is the underground tunnel known as the body chute. This eerie passage, stretching over 500 feet, was used to discreetly transport the deceased away from the eyes of the other patients. It was believed to be a more dignified method of handling death, but it's also added to the growing list of paranormal experiences reported by visitors. In the years since the hospital closed its doors, countless investigations have been conducted. Ghost hunters and curious visitors alike have witnessed strange phenomena, unexplained footsteps echoing through empty hallways, disembodied voices calling out from the shadows, and fleeting glimpses of figures lingering in the windows. Some even claim to have felt a cold, unshakable presence that follows them long after they leave. Could it be the spirits of those who never got the chance to escape? Or perhaps Waverly Hills is just a place where the past refuses to stay buried. Whatever the cause, this former sanatorium remains one of the most haunted sites in America. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, Weston, West Virginia, USA. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, a monumental structure built in the mid-1800s, stands as a grim reminder of the treatment of the mentally ill in early America. Originally intended to provide care for those with psychiatric conditions, the asylum quickly became overcrowded, and its history was marred by allegations of inhumane treatment. From electroshock therapy to lobotomies, the methods used to treat patients were shockingly cruel. Over the years, as more patients were admitted, the facility became a dark and chaotic place where fear was a constant companion. But it's not just the horrific conditions that make Trans-Allegheny a source of fascination. The building itself, with its haunting architecture and sprawling grounds, has become a hotbed for paranormal activity. Those who have ventured into the asylum's shadowy corridors report unsettling encounters with restless spirits. Footsteps can be heard echoing through empty hallways, and many visitors claim to have seen apparitions darting from room to room. The most well-known ghostly figure is that of a woman in white, often seen in the East Wing. Witnesses have described a chilling sensation of being watched, especially in the dimly lit attic spaces, where the echoes of the past seem to linger. What's perhaps most eerie is the sense of history that permeates every corner of this asylum. The spirits of those who suffered, left behind in this bleak institution, seem to refuse to leave. Trans-Allegheny stands today as both a historical monument and a chilling reminder of the dark side of psychiatric care, with its ghostly inhabitants still believed to roam its abandoned halls. Beechworth Lunatic Asylum, Beechworth, Victoria, Australia. What happens when the doors of an asylum close for the last time, but the memories of its haunting past refuse to stay inside? Beechworth Lunatic Asylum, built in 1867, is one such place where the spirits of its former residents are said to linger long after its closure in 1995. This institution, located in the quiet town of Beechworth in Victoria, Australia, was home to thousands of patients over its 128 years of operation. The asylum became infamous not only for its overcrowding but also for the harsh treatments that patients were subjected to. Early methods of psychiatric care were primitive, often including isolation, restraint, and even lobotomies. But it wasn't just the inhumane treatment that makes Beechworth so notorious, it's the strange events and ghostly sightings that have continued to plague it long after its closure. Visitors to the asylum today often speak of unexplained chills running down their spine as they walk through the hallways. The most commonly reported paranormal activity includes disembodied voices calling out from empty rooms, cold spots that seem to follow visitors, and shadowy figures darting across dark corners of the building. Many who have explored the asylum's grounds claim to have felt an overwhelming presence, especially near the old treatment rooms and the infamous solitary confinement cells. It's as if the spirits of those who were once locked away in the asylum's depths are still trapped, unable to find peace. Beechworth Lunatic Asylum remains a haunting reminder of the dark history of mental health treatment, and it's said that the spirits of its past patients are still waiting for their voices to be heard. Peat Island, Psychiatric Hospital, New South Wales, Australia. Not all haunted asylums are known to the public, but some hide their sinister past beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered. Peat Island Psychiatric Hospital in New South Wales, Australia, is one such hidden gem of darkness. Established in 1911, Peat Island was initially a facility for inebriates, but later became a notorious psychiatric hospital for patients deemed unfit for society. It's no surprise that a place with such a troubling past would become a hotspot for eerie encounters. As the years went on, the hospital became synonymous with mystery. Stories of unexplained deaths, mistreatment, and strange occurrences started to spread. But what truly sets Peat Island apart is its isolated location. Situated on a small island, it was a place where many were left to rot, away from the prying eyes of society. While its patients were subjected to cruel treatments and abandonment, the island itself grew more desolate over time. Today it stands as an eerie ruin, its once grand structures now overgrown and decaying. Those brave enough to visit the site report an unsettling atmosphere that permeates the grounds. Some claim to have heard faint voices or cries drifting through the trees, while others have experienced a deep sense of dread that's hard to shake. Perhaps the most chilling accounts come from those who say they've seen figures standing in the windows, peering out from the abandoned buildings, watching from the shadows. Could these be the spirits of those who were left behind to suffer in silence? Or perhaps they are simply memories of a past too dark to forget. Either way, Peat Island remains one of Australia's most haunted and mysterious locations, a place where the ghosts of its tragic past are said to walk the abandoned halls. Forest Haven Asylum, Laurel, Maryland, USA. Have you ever stepped into a place where the weight of the past seems to press down on you? That's what many experience when they visit Forest Haven Asylum, located in Laurel, Maryland. Opened in 1925, this institution was designed to care for individuals with developmental disabilities, but its dark history quickly overshadowed its original intent. The facility became infamous for overcrowding, poor conditions, and reports of systemic abuse. Patients were often subjected to harsh treatments, and many were left forgotten in the grim, sprawling buildings that made up the asylum. As the years passed, the hospital became a place of neglect and suffering, and by the time it closed in 1991, it had earned a reputation for being one of the most notorious institutions in the country. What makes Forest Haven truly chilling is the eerie silence that now lingers in its abandoned halls. Urban explorers and paranormal investigators have documented strange occurrences, the sound of footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors slamming shut by themselves, and chilling whispers that seem to come from nowhere. The most disturbing stories come from those who claim to have seen shadowy figures moving behind broken windows, or heard disembodied voices calling their names. Some believe these could be the spirits of former residents, still trapped in a place that once stripped them of their humanity. Even though Forest Haven has been abandoned for decades, it's clear that its haunted past refuses to fade into obscurity. Seacliff Lunatic Asylum, Seacliff, New Zealand. Imagine wandering through the decaying remains of a once immense institution, its broken windows and crumbling walls echoing the ghosts of its past. Seacliff Lunatic Asylum, located in New Zealand, is a place that seems to exist outside of time itself. Built in 1878, it was once one of the largest psychiatric hospitals in the country, housing hundreds of patients over the years. The asylum's dark reputation stems from its inhumane treatment of the mentally ill, including the infamous fire in 1942 that tragically claimed the lives of 37 patients. While the fire itself is a heartbreaking chapter in Seacliff's history, it also marks the beginning of the strange phenomena that visitors to the site report to this day. The abandoned buildings, still standing after all these years, have become a site for paranormal investigators. Stories of ghostly apparitions roaming the halls, flickering lights, and unexplainable cold spots have been circulating for decades. Some claim to have seen figures dressed in old-fashioned asylum uniforms, their faces obscured by shadows, while others have heard the faint sounds of cries or screams coming from deep within the bowels of the building. But what makes Seacliff especially eerie is the sense of isolation that still pervades the site. Situated on a cliff, the asylum looks out over the ocean, creating a feeling that the spirits of the lost souls still cling to the land, waiting for an escape that never came. Seacliff Lunatic Asylum, despite its tragic history, remains one of New Zealand's most haunted locations, a place where time seems to stand still and the past continues to haunt the present. Byberry Mental Hospital, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Ever wondered what happens when a place meant for care becomes a prison for its patients? Byberry Mental Hospital, once located in Philadelphia, offers a haunting glimpse into the darker side of mental health treatment. Opened in 1907, Byberry quickly became one of the largest and most overcrowded psychiatric hospitals in the United States. It was a place where patients were subjected to brutal treatments and forced into overcrowded, unsanitary conditions. For decades, the hospital became synonymous with neglect, where many patients were left to suffer in silence. Byberry's reputation only worsened in the 1950s and 60s when reports of abuse and unethical experimentation surfaced. Yet it wasn't just the appalling treatment that made Byberry famous. It's the chilling stories of the hospital's hauntings that have captured the attention of ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. Visitors to the abandoned site have reported hearing strange noises, such as disembodied voices calling out from empty rooms and unexplained footsteps echoing through the halls. Some even claim to have seen shadowy figures moving behind broken windows, and others report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread that seems to follow them as they explore. Perhaps the most unnerving tales come from those who venture into the old patient wards, where the air feels thick with the history of suffering. With its eerie past and decaying buildings, Byberry Mental Hospital remains a haunting reminder of a time when the mentally ill were treated as outcasts, abandoned to rot in an institution that failed them. Royal Hope Hospital, Florida, USA. Have you ever stumbled upon a place where history and the supernatural intertwine, creating an unsettling atmosphere? Royal Hope Hospital in Florida is one such place, and its ghostly reputation only adds to its eerie mystique. Originally built in the late 1700s as a Spanish military hospital, the building was later converted to treat victims during the Seminole War. But what makes Royal Hope Hospital truly chilling is its location on what is believed to be a Native American burial ground, adding layers of mystery and legend to its story. Over the years, the hospital has gone through many transformations, but its history of violence and death has left its mark. From treating wounded soldiers to housing the sick, Royal Hope has seen it all. Yet it's not just the human toll that's made it a hotbed for paranormal activity. Ghost stories about the site are widespread, with many claiming to have seen apparitions of soldiers from the past roaming the halls. Visitors report hearing the sounds of heavy boots marching through the corridors, and in some cases, the unmistakable sound of distant battle cries. The most disturbing tales come from those who've wandered through the abandoned sections of the hospital, where they've witnessed the faint glow of candlelight in darkened rooms, or felt an overwhelming presence standing right behind them. Whether it's the restless spirits of soldiers or the lingering energy of the land it was built on, Royal Hope Hospital continues to captivate and terrify those who dare to visit. It's a place where the past and the paranormal collide, leaving more questions than answers for anyone brave enough to explore. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the mysteries of abandoned asylums and hospitals. These forgotten places hold dark secrets, and we've only scratched the surface. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to DwellScape, and ring the bell so you never miss an adventure. Your thoughts and comments mean a lot to me, so drop them below. What's your take on these chilling tales? Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of the past.